The Languedoc-Roussillon region of France is one of the most evocative destinations in the world, and for me it was love at first sight. I now call the beautiful medieval town of Uzès my home for many months of the year. What better way to share it than with a week-long movable feast? I call those who join me on my guided culinary adventures my gastro-nomads. And the south of France is a land of incredible flavours and atmosphere. So come with me. I'm Peta Mathias, and this is my culinary adventure in the south of France. France's Gard department lies the Camargue. It's a land of marshes, salt flats, white horses, flamingos and mosquitoes. Exquisitely beautiful, windswept and wild. It's a World Heritage Site protected for its unique ecology. What's lured me here are the local people and their culture. So coming up, the Course Camargue, a festival where bulls and men play a game of catch me if you can in the local arena. Also in this episode, my gastro-nomads and I traversed France's oldest Roman monument. We dined surrounded by the aura of Michelin stars and combined the flavours of the south of France and North Africa in a barbecue. The people of the Camargue love their horses and they love their bulls. This is bull country. Where we are now is a manade, which is a bull farm, and we want to find out where the bulls and the Course Camargue come from. A Course Camargue is not a bullfight, it's a game, and the bulls are never damaged. Every small town holds a Course Camargue festival in the summer. In what's called the abrivado, the bulls are driven through the main streets by herdsmen known as les gardiens. Lithe young men perform aerial ballet as they attempt to pluck trophies from a charging bull's horn. It's colourful, exciting, and a true expression of the south of France. For me, the journey to the arena begins on the grassy range of the Manade Saint-Louis. The Camargue bulls are absolutely central to the vibrant, ancient culture of this region. They're very important both in the economy, in the way people eat and what they eat, in their sports and in their lifestyle. Bulls, the land and horses form the essence of Manadier Jean-Claude Grou's life, and the role stretches back through generations of his family. There's a fascination with the Gardien's ways, and for Jean-Claude this means showing visitors what it means to be home on the southern French range. The tour of the Manade reveals acres of grassland, marshes, and herds of black Camargue bulls ready for the roundup. What we're going to do now is what's called the tri, which means the sorting, and they will pick out the bulls that they want to be sent to do the Course Camargue. I start to get a sense of the love and respect the Gardien has for these agile beasts. When they're sorting them, they call the bull by name. All the bulls have names. How they can tell one black bull from another, I'm not quite sure. But they're all labelled. I mean, they all have their name and the name of the manade on them, and they all have their ears clipped with identification as well. But the bulls seem to know their names because when they call them, they come out. Mathias here, by total coincidence, same name as me, was obviously born to be a star. Oh, the star! Oh. He might have a statue erected in his honour one day, a career spanning a decade or more, and a proper funeral. For Jean-Claude, it's a more fitting end than to die on his first ever appearance in the arena.
Différents des taureaux espagnols.
Complètement différents.
Totalement différents, et surtout leur destinée. Enfin,
mais physiquement
aussi, ils sont beaucoup moins gros que les taureaux de corrida. Ce sont des taureaux non Camargue qui vont faire simplement 400 à 450 kilos. Ces taureaux de corrida, ceux-là portent les cornes à l'horizontale
Ah oui, les cornes. Alors, les Camargues, c'est comme ça.
Voilà.
Yeah. Now, on one hand, there are champions, and on the other, there's lunch. Bull stew is invariably on the menu for the Manade visitors.
Tous les taureaux, en Camargue, lorsqu'ils naissent, leur destin, c'est surtout d'aller dans les courses.
Oui.
Donc à l'âge de 3-4 ans, on va commencer à les faire courir dans les arènes, et c'est là qu'on va faire notre sélection. Ceux qui seront de bons taureaux méchants, ceux-là courront régulièrement jusqu'à l'âge de 12-13 ans, et ceux qui ne sont pas méchants, eh bien ceux-là, ils finiront dans les courses, malheureusement pour eux.
So it takes a spunky bull to avoid the cooking pot. Destiny, it would seem, is a major part of their lives, where every road leads to the course Camarguais. But if there's one thing these fiercely proud men resent, it's being called cowboys. One way they stamp their individuality is by the way they dress, and I absolutely love their colourful hand-blocked shirts. So I've come to the city of Nîmes, where, beside the ancient arena, famous for its Spanish-style bullfights, is Les Indiens de Nîmes, purveyors of clothing to Les Gardiens. The multicoloured shirts are eye candy indeed, and part and parcel of this definitive brand of southern French masculinity. And these are the blocks for the original hand printing of the Nîmes Indien, and you'd have the factories that they did it in India, just long rows of table, very, very long, miles of tables with plain fabric all on them, and you would put your dye on here, and this is the pattern, and then you would put it onto the fabric very precisely. If you made a mistake, you were done for. I'm happy to discover it's not just the men who get to wear these fabulous prints. And of course, any chance to play dress up, and I'm in. Now, where's my horse? I'm finding out how the day of the Course Camarguais festival begins for the bulls. I'm back at the Manade Saint-Louis, where Manadier Jean-Claude is preparing his champions. For the first time in my life, I find myself standing on top of a gigantic truck which a wild bull is going to rush into, and the whole thing is being run by a 9-year-old boy. What they're going to do is, this is what you do the morning of the Course Camarguais. You have gone out very early, you've chosen the bulls that you're going to put in the Course Camarguais, and then you have to bring them into this big truck, and you have to attach the ribbons and the cocards and the pieces of string around their horns, which when they go into the ring of the Course Camarguais, the rasateur with their things that they have for grabbing, they will chase the bull, and they will try and pick these ribbons off the horn. This is the horn. this is
a horn.
He attaches this to the horn with a knot, and then the cockard, which I thought was a big kind of like ribbon thing, it's just a tiny little thing like this, and he sticks it in a knot here, et puis...
Ensuite, je continue à faire des tours sur l'autre corde.
And then he puts that bit on the other horn. Girl, boy, girl. With a hiss and a roar, 3 bulls are in the truck. Whoops. Oh God, I hope one doesn't jump up and get rid of it. The next bit will involve reaching down and attaching the trophies to the treacherous horns. It's a well-practiced routine of holding everything still. So the first thing the rasateur has to take off is the little red cockade in the middle, and then the second things are the 2 galons,
les glands,
the pom-poms on either horn, and the third thing they take off is, which is the hardest obviously, is actually the yellow string. So these bulls are ready for their journey to the Course Camarguais. Meanwhile, let's turn our attention to the countryside surrounding my home base of Uzès, where I'm working up my culinary students' appetites with history lessons. A week in France's Gard region wouldn't be complete without experiencing the famous Pont du Gard. 1,000-year-old Spanish olive trees grace the walkway to this ancient aqueduct, which stands testament to the Romans' characteristic determination. This is the most incredible structure. It was one of the first things I came to visit when I first came to this area. What's truly amazing about it is that it's 2,000 years old, so it's amazing there's anything left of it at all. This is the part that's the most intact of the whole bridge that carried the water. And the Romans built it not because they were running out of water, not because anybody was poor, not because they needed it, but to show off. It was a status thing, and they wanted to show the rest of the Roman world that they could build this amazing bridge. This is the highest bridge the Romans ever built, and that they could have a gradient, a very gradual gradient, leading from Uzès, which is where the spring is, to Nîmes. It was only to feed Nîmes. It was never to give water to any other villages or anything like that. It was just for the rich Romans in Nîmes. Nothing, not even the deep gorge of the River Gardon, could stop them bringing precious spring water, 200 million litres a day, from Uzès to the city of Nîmes. It's remarkable, really. The blocks hold together with friction alone. No mortar was used in its construction. We're very special because we've been granted access to the top of the bridge, where the south of France's infamous Mistral wind works its hairdo destroying worst. This is the first time I've been up here, because you have to get special permission and fill in all sorts of papers and promise your firstborn son. And when you get up here, it's quite amazing, because this is the part where the water actually was. The rest of it is just support. Water coursed through here well after the fall of the Roman Empire. It was used as a toll bridge in the Middle Ages, and the Germans stored weapons underneath it during World War II because they knew the French resistance wouldn't blow up such an incredible monument. There's enough history in this one spot to drive a woman and her hungry gastro-nomad to a Michelin-starred restaurant. Fortunately, there's one nearby. We're just about to go into Le Castellas, which is one of the most famous restaurants in the area. It's a 2-star hotel, so we're having a very posh lunch, and the chef is Jérôme Nutil, and I can't wait to taste it. As in almost every top restaurant, the kitchen is a quiet and well-oiled machine. Apprentice chefs, in tune with a rich history of French country establishments, aspiring for Michelin star greatness, work with precision and efficiency. This is a place where careers can be made. Not least that of the chef de cuisine. And with the swish of the doors and each departing dish, his fate is sealed.
Ce qu'ils ressentent, ils sentent qu'il y a de la générosité qui est arrivée et qu'on a essayé de leur faire plaisir. Et de dire, bon, quand même que la cuisine est bonne, bien sûr, mais qu'ils aient mangé des plats qu'ils puissent se souvenir après, qu'ils aient eu une émotion.
It's like we've died and gone to heaven. The maitre d's manners are impeccable, with just the right amount of graciousness and detachment. Très français. From the perfectly formed dainty starters to the salmon entree, the duck main, and the decadent dessert. We are very spoiled ladies who lunch, and we deserve it. Now, it's not all fancy restaurants and sightseeing for my gastro-nomads. It's time to put them to work in the culinary school kitchen at Mas des Ours. The courtyard of our southern French guest house will come into its own tonight, and David's on task hauling bags of coal for the barbecue.
There she blows.
Headlining tonight's menu is my version of a Moroccan pit-roasted lamb or méchoui, and we're going to accompany it with sweetbreads sautéed in pastis, frisée lettuce salad with a veal reduction dressing, and a divine little oreillette pastry for dessert. This is what's called a forequarter of lamb, which all the farm girls will know all about. Southern French food is frequently influenced by North Africa. A marinade will infuse the lamb with the flavors of the North African Mediterranean: coriander, cumin, paprika, and garlic. So you make slits in the fattest part of the meat. All over said beef. care of, and the méchoui goes on the barbie for as long as it will take for meltingly soft meat to fall off the bones.
Cooking beautifully slowly.
The dessert that we're making tonight is called oreillettes, which means little earlobes, little ears. They're basically very finely rolled out squares of pastry that are flavored and that you deep fry. We need 30 grams of soft butter that can go in the middle. We also have grated orange and grated lemon that can go in the middle. And we need 1 teaspoon of orange flower water. Not too much because we know that it's really strong. How's it feeling? Do I need to give you some flour to put on your hands so you can... But you have to, if you think a dough is too wet, resist the temptation till you really have to. Because if you put more flour in, you're changing the balance of the ingredients. And you roll this out, starting from the center, and really, really thin, so that you could almost pick it up and read the newspaper through. Also, you can cut it any shape you like. Some people make squares, some people make, what are they? Diamonds, anything you like. Immediately put them on the paper. Some people use sugar, but I like to use icing sugar. French Mediterranean seaside resort town of Gros-de-Roi. People from all over the district gather at Gros-de-Roi's arena to witness the course Camagay spectacle. It's a great big fat excuse for a party, lasting for days, and they always begin with a parade of bands, folk wearing gorgeous traditional Arlesian garb, and gardiens strutting their stuff on their white horses. The anticipation runs high because what they're building up to are the taureaux, the bulls, which will charge through the town to the arena. The parade passes and the tension builds. Years ago, spectators took their lives in their hands as the bulls were given virtual free rein. I've been told it wasn't uncommon for people to die in the mayhem. Now it's much more of a display of the Guardians' horsemanship as they hem in 2 or 3 bulls at a time and charge en force down the street, with every loose youth in town trying to catch the bull by the tail. And the big daddy bull, the head of the herd, called the Sin Bull, bringing up the rear by himself. He's seen it all before, and his job is to keep the nervous young scallywag bulls in control. The ritual continues at the town arena with traditional formalities, such as introducing the owners of the bull farms to the eager crowd. Whereas patrons of Spanish bullfights celebrate great matadors, here in the south of France they are all for the bulls. The bulls at this event are actually cows, and vicious ones too. They're all on for a game they obviously enjoy, chasing 10 athletic men with their sharp horns. Working in pairs, the tourneur attracts the animal's attention and sets it up for his partner, the razateur, to run in and claim the trophy. All bets are on as to how quickly the rosette, strings and tassels will be snatched up, if at all. Depending on the bull, they can be worth hundreds of euros. rush of winning and losing draws to a close, the strains of Uzès Carmen follows tired little bulls on the last charge back through the streets and home to their quiet paddocks. David is leading the charge on tonight's salad. Frisée lettuce dressed with a rather convoluted veal reduction vinaigrette.
This is there's a couple of veal bones that the butcher in the market gave me today. She said are nice and gelatinous for making a stock, which is going to eventually become a veal reduction. And it's rather a lot of work. Which, rather than for flavouring, rather than just having your mustard and your normal things in it, has a very, very concentrated piece of veal stock in it, to give it a slightly meaty flavour.
David's other star turn is a starter of sweetbread, the prepared thymus and pancreas glands of calves. I have to say I love these delicacies, but it does take a bit of culinary magic to make them appear appetizing.
It's a very subtle flavour and a very subtle texture.
So first they're poached and then dipped in cold water, and then they're barbecued.
On goes the sweetbread. Sweet little sweetbread. Pretty hot here. Gosh.
I think that barbecuing meat is a primal urge. David and I are obviously accessing our inner cave people, albeit with colourful mood lighting and a party of twittering guests.
I've got these which have been on the barbecue, and I'm just going to toss them in a little bit of sunflower oil.
To finish, the sweetbreads are sautéed with a little bit of pastis, flambéed and sprinkled with crumbed pancetta. As for the lamb, it is falling off the bone. It's a wonderful contrast from our 2-star ladies' lunch at Les Castellas, a day spent reveling in both refinement and the earthy pleasure of a greasy barbecued lamb. Rounded off with delicately flavoured oreillette pastries and lots of southern French wine. Next time on my culinary adventure in the south of France, I extend the repertoire to what the Mediterranean Sea and its coastal waters have to offer. The language of southern French cooking is well versed in fish and seafood, and for my students it's full immersion. And I meet some of the coast's salty food heroes, whose daily devotions include octopus pies and freshest fresh oysters. I'd love you to join me.